Hello, hello. Welcome to the Blue Alliance show, the very much awaited show, in my opinion. Welcome, everyone, and welcome, Kochila, my brother from another mother. This is a show where we will get along all the Chelsea boys and Chelsea girls, of course, just to kind of get together and share your thoughts. Of course, we are starting with content creators, but great to be finally back. Something that we've waited for so long, Kochila, brother. How you been? And I know that we used to always do this, and now it's time that we do it again because there is positivity in the season, right?
Yeah, I can't complain, man. I've been looking forward to something like this, something that brings content creators together. And like you explained, we will bring in more content creators. We'll continue to grow. We need to work together if need be. There are times where we need to push some narrative to help educate, not say narratives, help educate the fans on, the best way you can say to support our club. But I've been looking forward to this one, and I'm happy. Yeah, lots of looking. You can say from what we've seen so far, lots of positives than negatives, in my opinion.
For sure. As in, it couldn't go worse than what happened last season, of course. And of course, there's a brilliant excuse for us to start this or restart this. Absolutely. And of
Mm,
course, this is only the first show. So hopefully, we'll get everyone to contribute here. And
yeah.
look at Coachilla's setup. As in, look at that setup, end to end setup. Coachella is trying to show, like, that is what he does. The content creator that Coachella is, I believe. But Harsha, big up to you, of course. Derain, Utkarsh, Mohammed Sahanawaz, Rupak, everyone is in the house. Everyone, let's hit that like button. Let's get in more people so that we have a lot of conversation. Yes, absolutely, it's a Chelsea end-to-end show, but literally we'll be discussing the Premier League by default. You know that. Patrick in the house. Yes, I see that. Pudin, Chelsea Michi boy, big up to you. Absolutely. Hardik as well as Audley as well as Emmanuel. All the people in. Come on. What is the main topic? The main topic of discussion has to be this. Of course, we got to start with the Chelsea Luton Town match, which is in 24 hours' time. But of course, there are a lot of transfers. So just letting you know what the topic of discussions will be. So stick to the topic as much as possible. Of course, it helps. Any comments or questions you have, we will try and address it. Of course, we will be talking about what the press conference gave us output. Not great news there, but again, there's never a day like right Coachella when there is something not to speak about when it comes to Chelsea Football Club, and that's what we love, right? And of
Oh
course,
yeah.
you can't see.
If a day comes and goes and there's nothing about Chelsea to talk about, then you must not be. It must not be Chelsea. As long as it's Chelsea, you can say you'll be having mood swings from excitement to ooh, what's going on here, something like that. That's why it's Chelsea Football Club, in my opinion. Yeah.
100%, 100%. Of course, yes, of course. PB talks and all. Messi is good. Yes, Lavanya, Sandeep, everyone is in. So, breaking news, and of course, it's not breaking news really. The big news before we get to the Chelsea Luton match, and of course, what happened with West Ham, we'll take a quick look what we can fix. But big news, as expected, Coachella. We have David Washington completing a Chelsea switch from Santos. Of course, a young striker. In terms of statistics, not really scored much. I believe it's around 16 million euros, which is about $17 million. I
Mhm.
think it's big money for someone so young who's not having experience. But I think we all know Todd Burley, Iqbali, the directors believe in investment, and there's a different, I think, budget for that. How are you thinking that this signing will bring? Because it was said that he might go on loan, but now that we have injuries, he might just play a part. You never know. That Mason Burst just showed us.
Here's the thing. He's an exciting talent, first of all. But the question I'm asking, what are we going to do with him? Because chances are, and from what we've heard, he's not going to be part of the first team. And it becomes concerning because such a talent, you can say, clubs like Barcelona and Real Madrid will sign him and give him a chance. But it doesn't look like that's possible right now with Chelsea Football Club. And that's where I'm concerned. And if we sign them out on loan, chances are probably we're lucky that we're signing them on a long-term contract. But I'm quite sure there's no way that sign such a long-term contract without an exit a strategy, because it doesn't mean the length of the contract doesn't matter. Once a player wants to leave, you'd have to let them go. You can't force them to stay against their will. So my concern is that we send them out on loan, and all the clubs, interested clubs, will tap them up and make them tell them, "No, look, we're not like Chelsea. Come to us, and you get to start games immediately. Then we're in serious trouble." That's the aspect I'm concerned. You and I know he's a special talent, but What are we going to do with him? And how soon does he get a chance to really represent Chelsea? You can see the kid is happy because I saw a clip of him, all smiles, kissing the badge and all that. But I don't know
He
whether
loved the kit, yeah. He loved the kit. Not that we don't
yeah,
like it. The new
yeah,
kit is awesome
exactly.
without the sponsor.
Yeah. Yeah, so that's where I'm concerned. But let's see what the club does with him. That's the question I
Yeah.
have right now.
Again, like because it's Pochettino, and that's why I mentioned that there is a strong possibility. Again, Darren is saying the Washington. I don't know how
Hmm.
good he's really, to be frank. Exactly, like none of us thought. To be very honest, he's had that, as in burst of a few months, like how Nicholas Jackson had, but Nicholas Jackson had it for Villarreal at a
Hmm.
very high level, right? Here we're talking about, with all due respect to Brazilian football, with Santos, it's not what it used to be. We all know that for a fact. So hopefully he does it. But someone who came with really high reputation, remember, a lot of clubs are after him as well. But let's get into the main conversation of the night, and of course, that is Chelsea versus Luton Town. Kuchela and everyone in the chat. Kuchela, of course, quickly responding to what happened versus West Ham, as in it was a game of two halves for me. First half, I think it was clear that we were the better team, but the injury to Carney, of course, he scored the goal, and the penalty miss was the difference maker, and we went flat. What do you think the reason was? What was your opinion?
On the you can say in this you can say with regards to this particular matter, I don't differ that much from Pochettino. It's one of those situations when you look at it, you will not be able to fathom what happened. I've looked at it. I've taken my time. I watched the game again. It's difficult to say what really happened. I think um, it's here's the thing. For me, the highlight for me is I think it took something like that to recognize the importance of Carney Chukwuemeka to this team, even though he's a kid. It's just 18 or like at most 19. But the moment he got injured, uh, we were lost. We couldn't we couldn't play anymore. We got so confused that even the viewers, as a viewer, you sit back and look at it and go, what's going on here? It was difficult to tell what we were doing, probably because nobody else was able to do the same thing that Connie was doing for us. But overall, like as I said, the highlight for me is that we learned a valuable lesson, the importance of Connie Chukwuemeka to that team, even though some people didn't have been arguing that he's not good enough for Chelsea. But
Yeah.
they did learn that that's not the case. That is very important, given what we have available to us right now. We played well the first half of the game. What happened in the second half? Honestly, I'm the same as Mauricio Pochettino, who said publicly that it's one of those games that when you look at it, you just cannot tell what happened. Honestly.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, big up to Srinath. Srinath, thanks for super chat. Always helps, of course. Big up to two of my favorite channels, Ankit and Kochila. Hard work and dedication, a smooth tide, never made skilled sailor. Trust the gaffer and keep calm. Yeah, that's the spirit. That's the spirit, Srinath. Of course, it's a marathon, like we say, right? But we all know a Chelsea Football Club. Unfortunately, it's easier said than done, right, Kochila? And we all know exactly what's happening year after
Yeah.
year after year. And I think it's time probably to get the balance right. And of course, that's what Srinath is referring. Srinath, again, thanks for super chat for sure. Pudin says Nicholas Jackson has to score against Luton Town. This is really a good chance to come back. I think you mentioned about Carney getting that finish. Again, people in the chat, please, add your thoughts as well. Because for me, it was saying that somewhere down the line, people need to take shots. And I think Nicholas Jackson also is someone who's shown in preseason and for Villarreal that he's someone who takes shots. But if you see the shot percentage, as in he could improve on that. I know his link up play is very good, as well as as in his hold up play also. But I was like kind of surprised for him to show that hold up play as well. But I think this heading ability, because second half I thought after West Ham were down to 10 men, I think this game against Luton Town, do you expect the same approach? Because Luton Town plays 3-5-2. Why were we crossing balls? Because that is not Nicholas Jackson's forte, right, Kochila? So, uh,
Mhm.
as in, we'll come to the lineup, but what do you think will be Nicholas Jackson's role against like a 3-5-2, especially when we do not have Carney?
If you're gonna play a 3-5-2, go with a 3-5-2 structure, then you need to mix it up. You don't need a striker who plays the same way as Jackson.
Right.
Otherwise, it will be easy to stop. But if you can mix it up with you can say more like we don't have that in that within our ranks right now. If you mix it up with somebody like Dusan Vlahovic, you could say he's a bit more like your stereotypical number 9, then you're good to go. But if you have to go with somebody with 2 up front, with somebody like Nicholas Jackson, it doesn't make any sort of sense. It'd be so easy to stop. Usually, when you play 2 up front, you mix it up, and you have, you could say in some cases you have. Let's look at the pairing of Didier Drogba and Nicolas Anelka. So once the ball is in the air, Anelka makes a run in behind the opposition defensive line, knowing that Drogba can knot it down for him if need be.
Right.
And yeah, so
The 4-4-2 diamond formation of Ancelotti, right? And that's something that we remember.
Yeah, exactly. So, but my point is
that
the 2 up front is what I'm talking about. If you're gonna play 2 up front, you have to mix it up. They don't have to be like for like.
Absolutely. And yes, Manav also mentioning here, using the cross and hoping for a header wasn't the right approach versus an incredibly physically West Ham team. People like Sterling and Mudryk should have contested 1v1 and open angles. Exactly. Especially Manav, and you hit the nail on the head. Also, like what Kochila said, plus the fact that because they were down to 10 men, as in we've all learned in school, again, I'm sure that the coaching staff is working towards it. The communication was probably not implemented. Kuchera, when you are playing against a team which is down to 10 men, especially a physical team, you got to draw them out, and that is possible by forming those little triangles, which actually Poch system thrives on. I know there's a lot of in between the lines, central passing which happens, but I think coming down to crosses was almost too desperate too soon, in my opinion, especially because yes, Mudryk was brought on in the second half. Now Mudryk is not available. Yes, it's a small injury. Of course, there are others also not available. So, Kochila, 10 people injury FC is back, Kochila. Welcome back to Chelsea Football Club. That's how we go sometimes. But going by this, like this weekend, I don't think there's too much debate going to be in the starting 11, I'm assuming. Unless, you guys have your thoughts. But let's try and make it up. I know 3-5-2 is what we're playing against. Remember, Ross Barkley might actually make his debut, I believe, for Luton Town.
He wasn't
possible.
even. I checked. I looked at Fortmore's predicted lineup. He wasn't even there. Maybe not ready yet. But I think he's not been playing for a while, so probably needs time to get back to full fitness and then get a chance to play. So, say what you like about him. He can hit the ball quite well and from outside the box too. But in terms of something you did mention, if you don't mind, I just want to address that quickly from my perspective. In my opinion, usually when you play the mid-table or bottom-table teams, people think it becomes easier when they lose a man. When they lose a man, difficult. That's when it's even more difficult to play against them. And I knew immediately the moment they went down a man that we're in trouble because Moyes will make a change. And he made a change and brought in Obonna. That's when they defended even more, because when they were 11, they had 11 players on the pitch, they still have the confidence that they can score, actually, and outscore us. But once they went down one man, I knew it's over. That's not an advantage, in my opinion, against those teams. If you're talking about the likes of Liverpool, Man United, or Man City, if they go a man down, you have a chance, because they will still be coming at you. They're not going to be concerned they did one man down. But that's just my opinion, really. Yeah,
absolutely. Big up to Mikhail. Again, I can see a lot of people joining. Again, everyone who's joining, let's hit that like button. Come on, let's score our goal. Our goal is what? Let's get to over 100 likes quickly. We can easily do that. Come on. We are the Blue Alliance, but we need every opinion. Even the neutrals in the chat, great to have that opinion, because sometimes that gives an unbiased view. Mikhail, of course, big up. Devesh, Manav, I'm seeing Utkarsh, Deadshot, Emma the King, Official, Derain. Pudin. I think there are a couple of comments from Srinath and Chimera regarding the same thing, that Nico is missing his feeders, Nkunku and Martin. He needs to quickly establish the chemistry with Enzo and others as well, because we need more of such pre-season chemistry for Nico to flourish. I think that's a great point, Srinath. Somewhere down the line, I think Srinath is trying to refer that Martin was among the impressive people in pre-season, but him getting very few minutes in the 2 matches up till now, I think could be questioned, especially, I know, Kochila, I've been following your content as well. The Chilwell, I know we'll come to the exact lineup, but Chilwell being used, and for people thinking we are playing 3 at the back, we are not. We are playing a flat back 4, especially with Reece James being injured. We are playing almost like a 4-2-3-1 or a 4-1-4-1 with, as in, you can say Enzo being the free man, but Chilwell playing the left attacking midfielder. So with that, guys, let us know. Because again, Luton Town, it's a 3-5-2. Yes, it's an away game. They didn't play the last game week. They'll be up for it against Chelsea. But would you go with changing the formation, go a little bit more attack, as in play 4-1-4-1 from the start, almost what we played the second half of Liverpool? Or would you say no, as in stick to what we are playing in the last two matches, despite us conceding goals and not scoring enough, and play Chilwell in the left attacking midfielder role?
I'd say do something we're familiar with. Go with a familiar structure. I get it, more attacking structure, because you can say 4-2-3-1 is still an attacking structure, or you can make it 4-2-1-3. It
Yeah,
depends if you can flip it up in the attacking area, because the sooner we get it good, the better. And you can say the bottom table and the mid-table teams, as the game progresses and you haven't, and you're expected to score against them, if you don't do that, they gain confidence as the game progresses. We need to get a goal as soon as possible, and then they will be forced to come out. Because if we don't get goal, I've already said that, no need repeating myself. We need a goal as soon as possible. So yeah, let's start with an attacking structure and get a goal. But let's not go with something that we're not familiar with. It can be
yeah.
problematic.
Exactly. And set pieces needs to be improved upon 100% Utkarsh. So let's get to the starting lineup, and I'm starting a few comments so that we'll be addressing them as well. Absolutely, like how Messi's goat is, definitely putting in as well. Sanjeev in the house, the coolest Chelsea in the house. Nice to see everyone. So I'm going to start with a 4-2-3-1, but I generally believe it might turn into a 4-1-4-1 while in gameplay while we're attacking. But I think
Mhm.
let's start with the lineup, considering that we have what 10 people out. Quite obvious, I know, but. Kuchela, in goal, Sanchez, how's he been for you? Everyone in the chat, as in, I know Petrovic will be speaking about, but do you feel that Petrovic is generally going to come in, as in for someone who's definitely followed a little bit of US football? You think he's someone who can actually displace Sanchez because he's still young, right?
He's still, I think he's 23. I think so.
Yeah,
Sanchez, how old is Sanchez?
same. Both are
About
23
the same
basically.
age. But they differ, but I think I need more time. I can't quite put my fingers on how they really differ, but you can say on a surface level, he's a better shot stopper. And in terms of ball distribution, Sanchez is way better from what we know so far. But at 23, he's still very young, which means he can still uh, become better in terms of ball distribution. Um, it's difficult to say now. And Sanchez, Roger did mention the other day during the Blue Morning Show, we shouldn't judge him that much, and rightly so. We
Hmm.
shouldn't judge him that much because probably he didn't know he'd get a chance to play for Chelsea as soon as he did.
Exactly.
Yeah, because my thinking and my belief at the time was that it would take time, it would take a while. He joins. We know we have another good goalkeeper in the ranks waiting, and as you can say, as the season progresses, we'll try him out during the cup games, and if he does well, if signs are that he can be a better goalkeeper than Keparis of Balaga, then he gets a chance to become the number one. So, but boom, just a few days after he joined us, Kepa moves to Atletico Madrid. So he's had a shaky stats because if you ask me, I'd argue some of the goals he conceded, he could have, you could say, should have done better. But I don't blame him that much because probably he didn't expect to get a chance to be the number one as soon as he did. So let's see what he does in the future.
You know what? Coachella just mentioned Atletico Madrid there. I'm saying like Kepa must be wondering that I wish I would have gone to Atletico Madrid because after going there, he hasn't started. It's been, I think, Lunin who started there. Correct me if I'm wrong, any Real Madrid fans in chat. But Sanjeev, you say Sanchez needs some more practice session, in my opinion, because in Brighton, he was bench warmer, so he needs some more minutes. I think that's a great point because he ended the season on the bench. I think somewhere down the line, goalkeeping is all about confidence. We've seen the drop in confidence of, say, Mendy when one year was so good and I think even Kepa for that instance, as we saw during Lampard's first stint,
Mhm.
the difference that was we saw in Kepa during Sari and during Lampard is a clear confidence issue. And I think there was a point about even Sanchez needing protection, what Srinath was mentioning, from the centre backs and stadium. So that's the whole point, Srinath, and that's why we're talking about formation, the personnel, because if you see the first game or rather the first two games, and I know I'm going to be unpopular. I love all my players, Coachella,
Mhm.
but I feel as much as that flat back four is giving us solidity, at least on paper, I think it's making us less dynamic. Because of which I think the goalkeeper is probably thinking sometimes it happens, right? Because they're playing closer to the goalkeeper. I know that we technically played a high line in one of the games for half the game, but generally speaking, the idea of a flat back four is to kind of not play that high line as much. So the goalkeeper is assuming that the centre backs or the full backs will probably, cover that sweeper area for me, and he's not acting as sweeper. Do you think that's a point? And I'm referring particularly to Levi Colwill. I know that he's a work in progress. He's a great youngster, one of the top youngsters we have. Love him to core. But for me, like almost like Badio Shield is a bit too relaxed. I know he's also a bit too relaxed, but sometimes you need to be, assuring yourself of, okay, I'm going to win this small ball no matter what. Between Disasi and Colville, I saw almost like a hesitation. Do you think it's harsh, or do you think I have a point in Antonio's goal, for example?
Um, Here's the thing. For that Antonio's goal,
Yeah,
clearly, you have to fault Levi
yeah,
Colwell.
yeah.
Why? Because he had the opportunity to get to the ball first, and Thiago Silva, as much as he's not the most physical, and what's his name, Badiashile, as much as he's not one of the most physical or the quickest, as long as he gets the ball to the ball before you, you'd have to
Disasi.
foul him. You'd have to bring him down to get to that ball. And that was
Exactly.
something Levi Colwell couldn't do. It's actually primary school. You can say what you teach kids in primary school in football. The first thing he should have done is to, what's the term I'm using? Shield the ball. So for Antonio to get to the ball, he has to foul him. But I think he tried to do that, but he was too relaxed. He was too
Or
relaxed.
shield the player,
Wasn't
Coachella, because
convincing. Yeah.
I think he was in the other direction of Antonio. So if he was behind Antonio, maybe I know it could have been a card, like how you all remember what happened between Christensen and Sadio Mane back in the day. I know Christensen got a red card
Mhm.
during COVID times. I remember that game like anything. But worst case, you're not conceding goal. I know here the red card wouldn't have happened because Disasi was there. So I think that is also a ploy. But Messi is good saying if you're playing a back four, you need a good build-up centre back and CDM who's good on the ball, who's press
Mhm.
resistant and can provide good passes. I think Colville is definitely that Messi is good. The problem is the pace, the energy, the vibe that we are getting from Disasi and Colville, especially because Thiago Silva is not the paciest anymore, right? So, and that is where I think we are saying that maybe we need to think about, someone who's giving you that energy. Now, I would put a very left field choice here. People in the chat, even you guys add on. Coachella against Luton Town, considering it's 3-5-2 and considering that there will be counters again, I think we need someone with pace, with height, the way that Luton Town has played, the strength that they have. And I think probably a left back, I would not have Levi Colwill for this one. I would actually have Ben Chilwell playing at left back. Please counter me.
I think I agree with you, but here's the thing. If I ask you this question, I'm quite sure it will not be easy for you to come up with the correct answer. We've seen, we all thought that we, on two occasions that we played with a three at the back structure, and he, during his press conferences, post game press conferences, he's argued that it's actually a back four. So maybe now it's a hybrid approach, but how? I've rewatched the game three times and I still can't understand. Maybe the players are still a bit confused. And you could argue the hybrid approach is the reason why we've made some silly, you can say primary school mistakes at the back. But here's the thing, I think we should go back to a back four, and I agree with you. Play traditional full backs where they should play, and not play
Yeah. So that
Levi Colwell
they can attack
in the
as
left
well as
back
defend,
position.
they're not so rigid,
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
yeah. And here's where the problem lies now. If he's bent on playing up with a back three, he would do that again against Luton Town. Why do I say that? Because now Casado comes in, so he has a player that's more traditional. You can say this traditionally, or you can say that is a player that's defensively solid, which
Yeah.
means he'd be more confident playing with a back three, knowing that they have security. Because one of the issues we suffered against West Ham is not, it's lack of proper protection from the 2 6s there. They didn't do much to protect the defense, so there was so much pressure on the defense that at one time they had to fall. Unfortunately, and Casado, he isn't. When he came on, he isn't. You can say wasn't fully fit at the time, so made that a rash challenge. But I get it. I'm not too sure what he does tomorrow, and that's because we don't have enough sample size. Let's say about 10, 15 games would say we'll be able to tell, okay, this is what we think he'd do. But right now, it's everywhere. There's no telling what the man does, really.
Exactly. Big up to Srinath again. Thanks for super chat. Always helps. Absolutely. Big up to every single person who tuned in and smash the like button. This one is just for you. Keep the blue flag flying high. And of course, back at you guys, everyone watching. Of course, like I said, always, it's for everyone. And again, the Blue Alliance is about, no matter where you are, it doesn't matter if you feel
Mhm.
blue, if you want to speak about blue, as in bring it up for sure. And here, yes, Jackson, you're saying I was actually shocked when Sanchez conceded that Antonio goal. I thought he was gonna short stop that shot, and then it was well taken by Antonio. And I think that is the thing that, have we changed? Even like, we are very similar to what we are, and that is why people who are much more dynamic, who are putting in their bodies, I think the old school, the John Terrys, the Gary Cales of the world. I know it's easy for me to say, but sometimes you need that. And I think that little aspect, I think Colville, maybe he will develop. I know that's not his A game, but
I
that's why
think
I'm
he
saying
will.
he will, of course he will.
He's
Oh,
still a kid, Those mistakes are very common with them. So, yeah.
okay. Mikhail has a question here. Do you see Lavia fitting in starting lineup if you go 4-2? First of all, Lavia is not available, Mikhail. He's not ready for a few weeks. What we highlighted based on the press conference. But I think eventually, I think we can see it being a 4-3-3 slash a 4-1-4-1 slash a 4-2-3-1 based on the gameplay. Clearly, with all the three being there, if you don't pay so much without so many people kind of coming in. I think Kuchela, eventually, I think the three of them should start LFC midfield, right? I think it's too early for this game, obviously.
Three of who?
That's Lavia, Enzo Fernandez, and Caicedo, the LFC
Yeah, I
midfield.
think they should be starting
Eventually,
together.
correct.
They
And
should. They differ. Here's the thing: a lot of people think we shouldn't be starting as Lavia and Casado together, but they differ. If you want the guy, if you want a Kovacic like a player, then Lavia is a man. He's excellent at beating the press, which means playing out from the back won't be an issue. More of a destroyer, you have more of a destroyer in Casado. So the two of them complement each other, which means as for me, I wouldn't mind us starting them both, honestly.
okay, so coming to the starting lineup again, I know we are kind of debating on the left back position with Colwell, Chilwell, etc. Your call, Coachella. I'm going to see the comments as well, and here everyone put your back four. We have decided, everyone agrees that we are going a traditional back four, not a flat back four, which could turn into a 3-3-3-1. We rather go with a traditional back four because we are playing against Luton Town at home. So, Coachella, what's your back four? Go for it.
My back four, the two center backs. Ooh, wow. The Sassy, I've seen I've seen the pairing of Thiago Silva and Levi Colwell work very well. So I'll go for Levi Colwell and Thiago Silva.
Wow,
And
the Sassy dropped.
yeah, and yeah, and the right one, yeah, the Sassy should be dropped. He still looks a bit shaky, and you could argue had it not been for the injury that Trevor Chalobah sustained, I don't think the Sassy would have started for us as soon as he did. That's not me saying he's not a good player. He's an intelligent player. Actually, he's very good, but I think he started sooner than he should, given the time he joined us. But because Chalobah wasn't ready, I think that became a problem for the manager. I'll go right back. Yeah, the most difficult
Wow.
one, right?
Everyone agrees. I'm the odd one out. Come on, guys. It's okay. See, that's why we have a consensus here, and I think
Yeah.
I'll go
So
with it
so
as
for
well.
right back, I'd go Malo Gusto, the most
Yeah,
difficult
he's
one,
been
right?
fantastic defensively. He's been fantastic.
He
Let's
is.
let's put it out there.
And like, I think he's an excellent player overall, offensively and defensively. I think a lot of people don't know him that much to know what he's capable of doing. But if you followed Chelsea during the preseason, you'd know that he's an excellent player. Left back, of course, Ben Chilwell. But I wouldn't be surprised if the manager decides to go with Kukurea. He's still there,
Yeah,
or
correct.
someone else. I'm not too
Wow,
sure, but that's
we
the four
forgot already.
I'd go with, in my opinion. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, guys, we are picking up what we want. Of course, we'll be discussing quickly about what we actually expect that will happen, knowing the manager, knowing the preseason that we have seen. But again, big up to Srinath here for a comment. You guys are seriously. No, Santos is definitely one that he might. Again, we'll be talking about transfer Srinath and who might go out, and we'll see who gets minutes, who does not. We'll be
Mhm.
discussing for that as well. Manav is saying here, Luton are going to sit back, make life difficult. Madueke starts on right wing and Sterling on left for 1-1-1s. I agree with that comment. I would play Andre Santos as a cam and Enzo Caicedo behind him. So basically, Manav is saying since Lavia is not ready, and Srinaz also mentioned that point, let's get to the CDM here. I think Caicedo Enzo, I thought it's a given, but considering that Carney is not available, Nkunku is not available, you might actually, as in play Enzo as a cam in that floating role. But is he that yet. We want him to be that player, but is he that yet in this system? I think I rather see him with Caicedo and develop that partnership. Coachella, where are you on the CDM? Everyone in the chat as well.
Are the 2 6s?
Yeah.
Whew. You're going with the 4-2-3-1, right?
Yeah, it'll become a 4-1-4-1 when one of the 6
Yeah, it's a
decides to be an
hybrid
8.
approach, but you can
Exactly.
say the default will be
That's
4-2-3-1.
Poch yeah.
Yeah, so I think right now I'd go with Enzo Fernandez and Moises Caicedo. Those two for me.
Yeah, I have to agree. And as much as Santos, I know that he was impressive in preseason, but again, the 2 games he's not featured. So for me, that tells me. And even like I remember, with all due respect, Leslie came on in the first game for a few minutes. So I think that tells me somewhere down the line that defensively, I think with Santos, Poch is not like 100% convinced about him starting. Plus Caicedo, we all know that the pressure is on him, as in he needs to start. I think the mistake, what, if I may quickly put it, Coachella, in the
Mhm.
last game, we got Caicedo coming in at a time, after we first got in Mudryk after halftime and then coming. So it was midway through a half where we were already, as in pegging back. So maybe it didn't give him the right platform to kind of, just settle himself for a couple of minutes. And I think starting him makes absolutely sense. You don't pay 115 million and then do not start him, especially when we have injuries, right? So again, I know Shrey in the house, big up to Shrey as well. Coolest Chels in the house as well. Lavia is not ready yet. Yes, absolutely coolest Chels. Uh, this is one approach that I would love. And again, Gallagher, we have not discussed Gallagher, Coachella. Gallagher, now the fact is Nadeem is mentioning about the shooting from distance. I think Enzo and Gallagher both have it in them compared to other midfielders that we have at the club. Would you agree?
Can you ask that question again?
So Conor Gallagher and Enzo Fernandez do have an ability, in my opinion, compared to others, to take that shot from distance, right?
Yeah, dude, Gallagher has an eye for goals, and
Yeah.
he will get you goals if he plays closer to the final third. Here's the thing: I'm going to say this: as good as he's been in the last 2 games, I think Gallagher can be more effective, make it more effective for us if we play him as one of the 2 8s in the back three, like is it a 3-4-2-1 or so, and or on you can say as a winger. Actually, at Crystal Palace, he was brilliant for them because he was played on the flanks, and throughout the season he was brilliant. It wasn't like where you see a lukewarm form at Chelsea. Today he's brilliant, tomorrow his struggles. I get it. When he's played deep, he brings something to the table. The pace, the presence, the energy, the commitment. You see him blocking shots but I get it. Those things count. But I think Gallagher can do more for us if you play him. You can say closer to the final third as one of the 2 8s in the cases where we play 2 8, or play him on the flanks. Gallagher, he isn't a deep line playmaker or a deep line midfielder, whatever language you prefer. I think he'll be more effective for us if he plays on the flanks. That's how I
Oh,
see it.
wow. So
Yeah.
basically, you are using him almost like a defensive valve, so as to give that extra
Yeah.
cover,
You could
right?
say you could say he's been a temporary fix for us. And I think the
Wow.
manager knows that. There's no way you tell me Gallagher has a place in that midfield, deep line, 2 of 2 6s. He has a place there if we have Enzo Fernandez, Romeo Lavia, Moises Caicedo, plus Andrea Santos, and Leslie Ugochukwu, actually, who's traditionally a DM. So Gallagher doesn't have a place in that area. His place in this team is on the flanks, in my opinion, honestly.
Interesting. Again, I believe Bardeshil is still not ready. He's just started training, but it is still a week or so away from definitely, even featuring in matches, leave apart,
Mhm.
starting. Do you guys think Nkunku injury before season opening match is a big setback for Chelsea? Of course it is, because he was the main man in preseason games in terms of attack creativity. I think that is why we discussing so much on the number 10 role, Sanjeev, because for us, as much as Enzo has a shot in him, he's not like an ideal number 10. He's not a Fabregas yet. He can become a Fabregas going forward, and that's where I personally see him. I don't know about you, Coachella. I think give him that space, he will be a beautiful footballer. Not that he's already, but on the other hand, that link up play. When you have a Nicholas Jackson who drops back, you need someone almost playing like a second striker, which Carney was doing well. And again, until he scored, you're right. As in, a lot of people criticize for Carney not to take enough shots, but now that he showed that, I think that is a positive for the time that he comes back. I know it's still away, maybe 3-4 weeks, I believe, but if you generally say in this particular midfield, considering the availability, Kochila, who's your number 10? And again, people, CDM we have put in because I know Gallagher. A lot of people are saying either as a 10 or 8. I'm putting Enzo and Caicedo as CDMs. Maybe Enzo is a floating man, but number 10 in this role, would you have Sterling? Because second half he did play as at number 10 late in the second half when we went almost a 3-2-3-2. Or would you say that no, Gallagher probably get in? Okay, I probably put in Gallagher by mistake. Let me put in
Uh,
Enzo Fernandez.
in the 10 position.
Yeah, in the 10 position is what everyone.
Eesh. Here's the thing. It's a difficult one. Um, you need more to be a 10, and Gallagher doesn't have all it takes to be a 10. Carney was able to fulfill the 10 role whenever he's played there because he's able to find solutions in tight spaces. So Gallagher, if he plays in the 10, especially if we play against a deep team that defends deep, where he will not have lots of spaces to operate, he will struggle. He was struggling, and it's no coincidence the fact that he's played his best football for Chelsea on the flanks. I know people will look at it and say he played his best football for us against West Ham and Liverpool because he did well in terms of his defensive contributions. But if you look at underground Potter in a 4-2-3-1 structure where he played as the winger, he was brilliant. The day Mason Mount played 10 and got 2 goals for us. And look at his days at Crystal Palace. He was brilliant consistent throughout the season because he played on the flanks. Gallagher isn't a 10. There's a chance if you play him there, he gets a goal or 2, but still he will not be able to fulfill that role effectively. But to some people, as long as he scores, to them, he's done well. The 10 role, he's not equipped to do that, which leads to me thinking there's a chance the manager probably, you can say, will avoid going with a structure that will need a 10. That leads me to thinking that because we don't have any traditional 10 in that team.
Yeah, so why don't we, as in, again, we are playing against Luton Town. I know that it may sound funny, but the fact is, the guy who's played most with Luton Town in the team is actually Ian Martin, right? Correct me if I'm wrong, guys. Quite obviously, right? Because he was there in Championship. So
I don't remember
Ian Martin,
what team he played for. What was your question again?
Ian Martin for Burnley has probably played against Luton Town in the Championship last season, right?
On 2 occasions. Let's say first leg, second leg.
And he gives something different, which probably Gallagher doesn't give as a number 10, right?
Sorry?
So, I'm just saying, would you play Ian Martin in the 10 role or would you have Sterling? Because Gallagher, you've ruled out Coachella at least. I know I'm coming to the chat. So would you have Sterling as a number 10? Because what are the options? Sterling, and then you have Ian Martin, that's it, right? Or you play Sterling on the left-hand side, Ian Martin as a 10, or vice versa.
I'd play Matson centrally, given what we've seen. And I think Matson is actually a better dribbler of the 2 players. Even if what's his name? Even if Raheem Sterling was a better dribbler, I think I get it. He's picked up form in 2 games in a row right now. He's done quite well. He still lacks. Even the day he was at his best, we looked at his numbers. He gave away the ball about 3, 4, 5 times, which is his ID, if you ask me. He doesn't do that during games. You have to be excellent at beating your man if you're going to play a 10. So I'll go with Matson. He's a fine dribbler. I get it. We haven't seen you could say the dribbling aspect of his game. Probably the key is a bit, you could say, trying to not to do too much. Trying to keep it as simple as possible to get a place in the team. And you can say he's proven he's capable of playing in the 10 role during the preseason when he plays something similar to that, in my opinion. Okay. So I wouldn't play Sterling there. If you add Tyron Sajiva, Tyron would say play Sterling at 10. I've seen him say that on Twitter, but I would say I wouldn't play him in the 10 position. Maybe not the Sterling we have right now. Maybe the former Sterling.
I have a counter, Kochila, and again, people do contribute in the your views in the comment section. Again, big up to everyone joining. Do not forget to hit that like button. Definitely helps. See, as in, because we are playing Chilwell as a left back, at least we are what we are choosing the team. And Chilwell in the last 2 games has played like an attacking role, and we know that even preseason, while he was good at times in terms of attack, defensively, I actually saw question marks. And because of that, playing Martin on the wing, because Martin is also naturally a left back, Does it not make sense? As in, remember those days when we had Aspilicueta and Reece James on the right hand side, overlapping one another, one defends, one attacks, and the dynamic system of Poch actually works that way because we a lot of times you go three the back as well as four at the back. So with that, is there not a possibility to have Martson on the wing and so that our left flank is covered on the counter on the wings? We are not beaten easily because in midfield now we have Caicedo and Enzo playing deeper, right? So I think will it not make sense? I get that point about Sterling being better off, say, in the first 1 hour compared to the last half an hour in the game against West Ham when he was playing on the right hand, side. But I would still say that conceding 4 goals in 2 games, I know there were individual errors, and playing Chilwell as left back requires some amount of defensive cover. And Martin is natural left-sided player, left footer, so we need crosses to come in. I know it's not ideal for Jackson, but at the end of the day, that's what we've been playing, right? So don't you think that works better compared to Sterling playing on the wing?
Yeah, I'd rather Matson on the wings. Sterling, you can say dashing runs, for lack of a better term, he made against West Ham United was from the central area. As much as I don't think he's a 10, he can invert. He can always drift in and make those runs, or it depends on where he finds the space to exploit. But Matson will be more effective on the flanks for me. If I hope that answers your question.
Yeah, as in,
I think
I was successful in changing your mind for once. I feel like an achievement.
He's
but
a better dribbler of the two,
that.
but that doesn't mean Sterling gets to play in the 10 role. But on the left hand side, I'd rather Matson. If we're playing with 2 8s, maybe Sterling play as one of the 8s.
Okay, so basically it's now there's a twist here. Coachella is saying that Sterling, despite Martin playing on the left wing, does not start centrally. I have actually put Sterling in the central position already, Coachella.
No,
but
not
I hear
you.
He was better
if
off.
We're playing with 2 8s, I'd rather him play on the right hand side, and Martin plays on the left where he's more effective. Where he's played, you can say was the team he played for? He played predominantly left wing. And he was excellent. Excellent. Progresses the ball even when you had two opposition players on him, he still progresses the ball. And I will hate it if I see if we go with a 3 at the back structure and Chilwell starts in the wing back position. I will freaking hate it, especially against a low block team. Because he's become a liability especially when we play teams that defend deep. I get it. He has goal threat, but that's when he has spaces to exploit. Without the spaces for him to exploit, Chilwell will always opt for several options in terms of passing the ball. If you pass the ball to him and a single opposition player is in his front, he goes sideways or goes backwards, and that's an issue. I give him time thinking maybe he will improve, but he hasn't improved. He's only effective when there are spaces for him to exploit, unfortunately.
So this is the solution, is what I come to the conclusion based on Coachella's conversation and at least what the chat is thinking, because chat is believing that Gallagher should start and will start both. It's not about want or if.
I think he starts.
He deserves
you have to find a way to accommodate him. Right now, I think he starts. But do I think he will start in a deeper position? I'd say no. There's a chance he actually gets deployed as a 10. But do I think that would be nice? I think no. I think he's not well equipped to fulfill the number 10 role because Gallagher cannot find a solution in a tight space. He might want to end up go ahead.
Because True Blue Clay and I think few of them have also mentioned this, because Gallagher himself played like a typical number 6 and not a number 8/number 10 in the first 2 matches. And if you're not convinced, and Santos hasn't got a minute, at times he has to be ready as well, right? So maybe, I know it's maybe exaggerating. I'm not going to say that we are going to win the match for sure. We need to win this match 100%. But I think at home against Luton Town, you don't give minutes to Santos, then against whom you give. As in, there is the point there, and you actually use him and use Enzo in that free role.
Use Enzo in a free role?
Yeah, in that number 10 role, which kind of, becomes a 4-3-3 while defending.
I don't think he will use him as a 10. Maybe in another structure, something more, in a more advanced role. Here's something I've always told people. I get it. If you ask Enzo, he will tell you he can play a 10. Players do that. But here's one thing I want to say. Enzo, for me, is a deep lying playmaker. Enzo is more of an orchestrator. He helps you control the game. We don't have Jorginho anymore, but he's the only the guy that can help us to do that. You say he will be just play. He starts from a deeper position, but with the independence to be more adventurous on the pitch, get closer to the final third because he has an eye for goals. I know he hasn't scored for us, but he joined us at a time where even if you get Ronaldo and Messi join us that time, we still struggle. You get my point. I think he will overcome that period. It has passed. It's just for him to get his first goal. I think Enzo, for me, we shouldn't go to the extent of trying to play him as a 10. I think he'll be useless.
Yeah, we need him involved. We need him to build up basically, right? And that's where he's very important.
Yeah, exactly. He needs to see the whole pitch to be effective.
I
That's
get
the
that.
player he is. He's a deep line playmaker. He's not a 10, as most people have argued. I started you could say a debate with somebody on Twitter. I said, look, we need a traditional number 10. We need somebody that can create chances from the central area so that we can diversify our chance creators, our chance creation, because we create a lot of chances, but you can say majority of those chances we create come from the flanks and on the carpet, which makes it very predictable. And I get it. We have Enzo, but we need to add to Enzo. We need two people, Enzo and someone is in the 10 role, capable of creating chances from the central area. That way will not be predictable. If Enzo doesn't create, the number 10 man create, or an 8 who's capable of creating chances from the central area would do the same. And all we create from the flanks. That way we're not predictable. But a lot of people think Enzo alone is the answer. I say that's not the case, really. Go ahead.
Okay, so I'm just trying to show this. Okay, one second. I'm not sure which
Mhm.
view I'm showing. So this is the final lineup, guys. I think it seems like that's perfect. But by the way, big up to Mikhail for a couple of super stickers and super chats, and of course Srinath here. Big up to everyone joining. Manav, Darren, Pudin, Messi's goat. I see your questions as well as all the others in the house. I'm seeing Deadshot absence of Nkunku. Enzo should take responsibility of creativity. Fair enough, but he has to be more involved. So I agree with Kochila there that playing in that 10 role. I know that at the end of the day, it might become a 4-1-4-1 anyway. As in, for all we know, I know Caicedo, one of the mistakes we made against West Ham was playing him in that, single pivot DM, which is not Caicedo either, if I'm being very honest. But because it's Luton Town at home, I can expect him to play that kind of role again with Enzo and Gallagher almost. Like Gallagher will probably, take shots, as in he'll win the second balls, help in the 1-2. Hopefully, he does that.
Mhm.
But Enzo will be the guy who will be basically, that connect between, say, a defensive midfield and attack. For me, for sure, he'll be the guy. So, guys, agree with this lineup. And again, we'll come to the predictions at the end of the stream. But that leads us to the next topic, guys. Everyone,
And just quickly, I hope
here,
we're not missing anybody's questions. If you
yes, I
have
think
questions
here
in the
Messi's
chat,
goat is asking a question.
yeah, please.
What's your
Apologies
take
if
on
you
Mudrik?
have a question there and we missed it. I don't see any myself. And Bobby is in the chat. Just say hello. You can just breeze through what we have in the comment section there and say hello to
For sure.
everybody there. The likes of Bobby, Jackson. I think I've Vic is there. Just hello to everybody quickly
For
so
sure.
we can move on. And thank you, Mikhail, for the super sticker. Mikhail is excited. A fabulous, he called it a fabulous collaboration, hosting simultaneously live stream. Yep. That's something that we hope to add at least 4 more channels to it. I think it's an exciting time for Chelsea fans, and we can only get better. We're looking at more talent. You can say we're scouting right now. We'll take a time, but go ahead with what you were saying, brother.
Yes, so I'll just take a couple of questions here. Again, big up to everyone here. Again, let's hit that like button for sure helps. We lost Chukwemeka and Nkunku. Certainly, we are looking thin in the squad. We are still juggling for a right winger cam. And do we still need a striker? And that is the next topic of conversation, of course. I think Messi is good also referring to the same thing about Mudrik having question marks. I know he's not ready for this game. There is a slight niggle. But these are the people that we are linked to, guys. Again, we can debate what is needed, what is not needed. And I know opposition fans will be like, come on, after spending 1 billion, you still don't have a team ready. But remember, we sold about 17 to 18 players. And again, there was a need. Now that we have got
Yeah,
what,
that's
literally 10 people
concerning,
out.
really.
Yeah, it's
If you don't
crazy.
mind, just quickly, that's concerning. People were, you can say, we lost against West Ham United, and people were quick to highlight that we spent $1 billion in total. If you have to £1 billion in total, if you have to do that, then you have to take your time also to take into account the fact that, like you just mentioned, we sold a lot of players. Just deduct that and then come up with a number, and I'll say, okay, you're correct. But you can't just say we spent $1 billion without taking into account how much we've made from player sales. It just doesn't make any sort of sense, in my opinion. But go ahead, brother.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, I think that is a question that I think Srinath is asking. That is a question that maybe even Messi's God is asking about the like the readiness of the people that we have signed, right? As in, again, a
Mhm.
lot of youngsters, exciting. For example, Mudrik. I know you're not referring to this match. Now we are generally speaking about Chelsea's transfer window, which we literally have 1 week left, guys. Mind you, I know that there will be outs. The Lukaku situation is the biggest question. There are concerning reports today, Coachella and everyone in the chat saying that I know that the press conference wasn't clear. He clearly said that the club basically already had something in mind. Lukaku himself had something in mind, and that is why we went with the way that we went. And it's clearly that he's not a future of Chelsea, right?
Mhm.
But again, there are reports saying that Poch wants to talk to Lukaku, saying that if he can, uh, set himself mentally to be back in the squad. I am scared. I'll be very honest, Coachella. We have seen this movie earlier. No matter whether he brings physicality, whether he brings experience, I do not want to see Lukaku back in the squad. And even if beat, I know that Brennan Johnson for 50 million, Vlahovic for 45 million, plus Lukaku is probably too much to ask for. But I'd rather have that, and that's how desperate I am about not having Lukaku in the squad. Because for me, that squad size and especially the mentality of the players who are there in the dressing room needs to be better, especially Lukaku. Where do you stand? Are you willing to give Lukaku a chance? Is there anyone willing to give Lukaku a chance? I am not.
No. Here's the thing. I'm going to say this. That movie, I know you said we've seen that movie before, but this movie has a different plot. Twist. It ends differently. I don't see a world where Lukaku ends up staying. The manager, he's made it clear. The club, they've decided on what to do with Romelu Lukaku. He ends up leaving Chelsea. Whatever happens, some Nigerians will say, "Come rain, come thunder." Lukaku leaves Chelsea. Honestly, I'm serious. Here's the thing, and if you paid attention to what the manager said, I think it's just some sections of the Twitter journalists, I call them, or some of them real journalists, took a part of his speech of they were forcing him. First, they asked him, and he said, "Nothing has changed." When they asked him about Romelu Lukaku, if you watch it again, he said nothing has changed, which means Lukaku will leave, and the club wants him to leave. The club don't want him to be part of the squad. Lukaku ends up leaving, and then they keep pushing him until he said something to the effect of, "Well, if anything changes, the club will let me know, and I'm not going to argue against it. We're working together," something to that effect. So they just took that part of the presser and ran with it. To me, Lukaku isn't staying, and I'm not concerned one bit. Honestly, I don't think he stays.
Yeah, so that is clear. So we have got the elephant out of the house for the time being. If he can say, I know he considers himself as one, but
Mhm.
now the people are linked. Now again, Balogun, I know that Arsenal, he was on loan last season in the French league. He did brilliantly. I get that, but again, if you see the XG versus the number of conversions, like compared to Nicholas Jackson, is probably lower. I think there is a question mark about his finishing percentage, which is again one of the concerns of Chelsea paying 50 million, especially from Arsenal, for a guy who is Arsenal's, let's be honest, third choice striker right now, versus maybe Vlahovic was a little bit of concern. Again, we're talking striker and we'll come to the camp. But what are you saying, Coachella? Like you're saying that no matter what, keep Broya. He's coming back after long term injury. Have faith in him. Nicholas Jackson will get you goals, and rather get a more creative Cam, number 10, or you would go with both, as in go with both, because right now we are lacking goals as a team. And if yes, then who's your man? As in with the people who are linked.
You can say go with Broya or do what else?
So you say go with Broya and then get a cam, is what you're saying, right?
I think he can work. Because if you can create good enough chances, if we can create twice as much as we're creating right now, chances that will put away a few. And the manager himself have said the same. But here's the thing, and he's sounding like he likes Broya.
He
He
liked
sounds,
exactly. Yeah, he does like him. But
yeah, he
is he
sounds like he
considering
likes
Broya as the
Broya.
third choice striker or the second choice striker? That's my only thought.
Rotational, he's good enough. I think the only thing that you can say, and I'm not too certain really, if I have to be honest here. Jackson, the only thing you can say Jackson has over him is that he's more powerful. He's more strength. You can muscle him off the ball easily. But I think they're both similar. So that for me, that being said, which means there's a chance if the club wants to mix things up. But if you ask me, I'd say the two of them are actually Pochettino's, you can say, ideal type of striker.
Yeah,
That's
it
the
gives a
he's
plan A,
ideal.
plan B almost, right? Because Broya is someone
Yeah,
who
exactly. So playing A, plan B, because Jackson is a perfect Pochettino type of striker. He likes a player, a
who
number
drops
9 that's
back.
capable of dropping deep, participate in the play, and when you don't get a chance to score, you create a chance for your pairing. I get it. People are calling for signing a traditional number 9, but that's not his thing. Honestly, that's not
Exactly.
his thing. And I think Jackson, if he comes good, nobody will be asking for that. But because it's looking like, you could say, he's not the guy. Some are questioning whether he's the guy. I think he is. By the time he starts scoring and you get goals from Nkunku, also get goals from those that play on the flanks, then you will not be looking for a Lukaku type of number 9. What did he say? What did Mikhail say there?
Mikhail, man. Mikhail OP in the chat, everyone. So basically, I think you have to. Have you watched the Hindi movie
Kachra
called
Kaliha. How do you say it?
Kachra
Is it
Khelega? Kachra Khele. You know what? I actually have a meme. I'll
Kachra
just show you
Keleha?
guys. I would like to play this, everyone.
मैं मरते दम तक किसी के सामने नहीं झुकूंगा आप लोगन मेरा साथ दें या ना दें मगर कचरा खेलेगा
Okay, Kachra Kelega. Okay. Now
That
I
means
get
no
it.
matter what in Kachra, with love we call Gallagher. He's like what poor man's Nicholas Barella. He's like no matter what, Potts is like he will play. Whether you change my name or not, Gallagher is going to play. Is what we basically just joke around. But anyway, uh, but yeah, again, Morgan Gibbs White is not even linked. We'll talk about the scouting names. Darren, you know it, and again, people who watched our channels know it as well. I've been as in definitely voicing it out, Coachella. Again, the names that we are linked. Again, let's get to the camp because Coachella agrees that number 9 will not be the answer right now, a typical number 9. You rather have someone more creative who can score goals as well as connect with that striker, more like a
Again,
almost a
disclaimer,
second
that is
striker, I
just
would
my
say.
opinion.
No, I agree. I agree with that opinion as well because for me, the second striker was lacking after Carney went off, and that was very clear. That person who was linking up and Sterling couldn't do that as well what he was doing well in the first hour, right? So for me, that is maybe one of the reasons why we are going for Brennan Johnson. But why Brennan Johnson? Like in terms of quality, with all due respect to
No,
the
I don't think we're
Welshman, and
serious. I don't think we're serious about Brendan Johnson.
yeah,
If you've been paying attention, there's let me just call it a follow-up report that says we admire him, but we're not serious.
yeah,
Yeah,
Mbappe, no,
because if you've watched him, he's awful in front of goal.
yeah,
If you get my point, but I don't
yeah.
think we need them. I'd rather we need a creative, we need a traditional 10. We need somebody that can create good chances, be creative, not just about creating chances, take the ball by the hands and help us win games. We don't need that difference maker right now. We don't need it. I get if you argue Nkunku is not. He's a different breed of player. But you get my point. Go ahead, brother.
Okay, here some names are coming up. I know that Ryan Cherki is our fam needs Ryan Cherki. I know we can talk about Barcola. We didn't touch about the wingers. If you see the wingers that we're linked to as well, as in again, people are saying that get back Joe Felix. I'm not for him. Someone who did not score enough. I know that he's talented. No one is questioning his talent. The problem is Joe Felix is someone who's so expensive. Plus the fact that now he's so desperate that every day he changes that PSG, Barcelona are my dream clubs. So I'm not going to have that player. Let's be honest. We don't. He's almost done a Lukaku to Atletico Madrid. If I'm being really honest about it, Felix. So I don't want such a player. Very honestly speaking, right? But Cherki again, attitude issues. So that is a red flag, is what reports say. He could play as a number 10 as well as on the wing, someone who's two-footed like Felix as well. Kudus, I know that everyone wanted like say a lot of other names that were mentioned, but Kudus is someone who's imminent to West Ham. One of the reasons might be because he's going to African Cup of Nations in January. So him and Nicholas Jackson will be missing. So I can see why we are not going for Kudus right now. It's about the timing thing, apart from the injury issues. But rather, would you say, Coachella, that we can wait for maybe an Nkunku while maybe Carney and Enzo or maybe Gallagher do that number 10 role, maybe even Martson, and get a Barcola or a Yeremy Pino, who are like typical wingers. Even I have given a shout out to Johan Bakayoko, the Nonto of the like. So these are like people who are very good off pace on the wings. You get one of such players, and then you just crowd the midfield, as in just to get shots in, like a Gallagher and Enzo could.
Nkunku, I used to argue, given his talent, he can be explosive. He's a good dribbler. He's a fine finisher. I was thinking maybe he can fulfill the 10 role. He isn't traditionally 10. I've come to that realization, and he even said it during an interview that he likes to see himself as a striker. I get it. He can play on the flanks, and I'd rather play him on the flanks than play him as a 10. He's not that 10 we're looking for. He's not. You can say he's more of a finisher than he is a creator. And if you're gonna get a 10, you need a 10 that can create more. And so I would say, yeah, we need a 10. If I get it, Chukwuemeka has proven he's able to fulfill that role. And I remember, I think during preseason, Kuku got a chance to play there on 2 occasions. Correct me if I'm wrong. And he looked out of place. He was
You were right. You were bang on.
So he was so freaking confused. I was like, this guy isn't really the player I think he is. I get it. My argument has always been you don't need to play Kunku as a 9. If you play him as a 9, you'd be wasting his talent. He needs to play a bit you can say deeper. Maybe you can say as a winger, but not as a 10, in my opinion. Or as a winger or as an 8, but not as a 10. He will fluff it. He will not do well as a 10, in my opinion. Honestly.
Interesting.
It's
and I know
if you're playing him there just as a second striker, not just maybe as a 10, because application defines a role. I get it. Certain positions, you look at it and say, this player here, for instance, the wing, when we play with the 3 at the back with wing backs, you see Chilwell in the left wing back position, you call him a defender, but it depends on the application. The manager will want him to do more in the offensive area of the pitch than the defensive area of the pitch, which means he's not a defender in that case. It's just that defensive instinct can help him be a bit more cautious than a traditional winger playing in the wing back role. So everything comes down to application, in my opinion. There's a chance the manager places him in the number 10 position, but the application will be to play as a second striker. That makes a whole lot of difference.
Interesting. So basically what Kochila is saying is we need a number 10 for sure compared to a winger, because on the wide roles we still have people like Nkunku coming back, and again his class on the wide role we have seen that. The problem is in number 10 he's still yet to show that link up play that we really need from a second striker with Jackson, because he was better off wide, similar to what we spoke about Sterling as well, and that's true. Guys, again we are targeting 150 likes for the stream, so let's get there as soon as possible. I have started a few questions. Pudin is asking, can we sign Brahim Diaz from Real Madrid? And for people who do not know, yes, because of the fact that Kaká and a couple of Milan players were my favorites in the past, so I do follow them very closely and have a soft corner. I believe that Brahim Diaz could have been a good pick, but I think, is it even allowed? Because Brahim Diaz has technically moved from Milan to Real Madrid in this particular window. So can a player move the second time? Yeah, they bought him back, right? Real Madrid has bought him back. So I don't think it was a loan. It was a buyback, Pudin, if I remember right. Correct me if I'm wrong, Pudin, but I think because of that, I don't think it's allowed. But maybe because he's in a different, say, league, maybe it's allowed. Again, I'm not too sure about the rules.
Even if it's allowed, if they just bought him back, which means they're planning to keep him. They're not looking to sell.
No, but Real Madrid put in as a point, because the moment when he was bought back from AC Milan, at that point they hadn't purchased all those other midfielders, the Arda Gulars of the world. They have of course, Ceballos extension that they made. Modric and Kudus is continuing. So I can see why he's saying it. And again, he's a left-footed player. For people who do not follow Real Madrid and AC Milan, he's a left-footed player who plays as a cam or on the right wing. He's exactly what we need, in my personal opinion. And he has goals in him because we saw it in the Champions League for Milan as well. So he has some experience. Mikhail is asking to both anchors, for end of the transfer window, could we get your respective buy one, sell one, keep one? Interesting question that, Mikhail. Again,
I think he was going to come up with this.
There'll be more than one, I think, which will be sold. In my personal opinion, I think certainly Lukaku and Callum Hudson-Odoi are going. That's pretty obvious. But if you have to say that if Santos doesn't get enough game time or Maatsen, would you consider loaning them out, Kochila?
Loaning who out?
Either of Santos, Leslie Ugochukwu, or Maatsen, one of the three.
The three of them are still very young. And for young players, even the manager himself have said it. That was one of the first you could say, most important comments he made during his first interview. Young players need to play, and if they don't play, their development will stagnate, will suffer, and that's dangerous. So if they're not going to play that much, not you can say, I'm not going by, let's wait until we'll have cup games before they get game time. It's dangerous. I'd rather we sign an established player, have that established player be fighting for a place with a star, with another established player, or you can say another mature player. Then if they don't play, they're still fine. They've learned enough. But for young players at the age of 19, 18, they have to play. And cup games will not be enough. That is just my opinion. You get my point now.
And
so,
we have one next midweek, by the way, against Wimbledon, just so you know.
Yeah, exactly. So cup game alone will not be good enough for the likes of Matson, the likes of what's his name, the likes of Andrea Santos and Leslie Ugochukwu. Except if you're going to be giving them like 25 minutes, 30 minutes in the Premier League game, then mixed up with the cup games, then their development will still be on track. But and I'm not going to be selfish and say, yeah, let's keep them because I like them. I was happy that Lewis Hall, again, even though I was gutted, then again, it makes sense to me. He has to leave on loan. Plus, now it's a permanent, mandatory, you can say, purchase clause on his contract. But beyond that, I'm not the type to look at a young player and be selfish to say we should keep him and don't let that player go out on loan and continue to do it. Just doesn't make any sort of sense.
But I think it's clear, right, Kochila? I think the fact that we let go again Lewis Hall, I know that the fan base went haywire, but I think the fact that we let go Lewis Hall is a clear indication that Poch believes in Martin more, is what my assumption is. And again, when it comes to midfield, I think I can see one of them going for sure, at least on loan. Either of Leslie or Santos. I know we have kind of been very resistant, and I don't think, Mikhail, that we will let go Santos, but I can see Leslie Ugochukwu possibly going, because now that we have Lavia coming in a couple of weeks, that
may not,
right?
May not, okay. Because he's one of the only, you can say, one of the only traditional, you can say, actually,
TDMs.
I could argue the only traditional DM we have. Moses Caicedo is more of a box-to-box.
Even Lavia, yeah, you're right. Because
in my opinion, here's something I want to say about quickly in the case of Lewis Hall. His case is a bit complicated. The club wanted him to go on loan to continue developing, and if you can recall, everybody we were all thinking that he was going to join Crystal Palace. I even made a video saying he was going to join Crystal Palace under the what's the language I want, the tutelage of what's his name, Roy Hodgson and all that, and boom, Newcastle. And we started paying attention. What's going on here? It turns out he grew up a Newcastle fan, and I'm sure you've seen that coming from himself. And then it became a permanent deal. It was going to be just on loan to Crystal Palace, but now he's joining Newcastle, his boyhood club. And then with an mandatory obligation to be specific to buy. But his case is a bit different, honestly. And I'm happy for him. I want to see him succeed because he's a fine player. But I would have loved him to stay, again, in place of Kukurea and, Ben Chilwell, both. Honestly, he's a better player than both. But unfortunately, he's not a left back. And if he stays, that's the only place he'd get a chance to play. That's the only reason why I said, you know what, I'm just going to let it go. But you go ahead.
No, but again, as in coming to a conclusion, I think what Kochila believes is we might actually keep hold of all the midfielders. I still believe that having, say, Lavia, Caicedo, Leslie, Santos, Gallagher, and of course, like, I'm pretty sure I missed a couple of other midfielders who could play there, right? Carney, of course, who could play as well. So I think it's one too many. I would still say, because we don't have Champions League football, I understand that we can have, say, people playing multiple positions. For example, Caicedo can play a right back, but we all know we didn't pay 115 million for him to play right back, right? So that's only an emergency option. So for me, I get that Leslie, that's why he's in the squad, and that's why he came on the first game against Liverpool as well. But I believe that probably means that either of Gallagher or Santos might be let go. Santos won't be sold; it'll be only on loan. But I think it will be probably Gallagher if you get a great amount. So let's see about that. That's again once call Batman Robin. This is the dynamic duo. Big up the gentleman, everyone watching. Smash that like button.
Glenn Tan. I love Glenn so much, and I hope you're recovering. Just quickly, brother, if you don't mind, I hope you're recovering well. I've been praying for you. I don't know whether you believe in any higher power. No need to mention, to be specific, but I've been praying for you. I hope you're doing well, and thank you for always finding the time to join us whenever we have a show. But you go ahead, it gets better, and the plan is also, I think the number we have is 6 channels in total, but we'll take our time. We're looking for quality. We're looking for people that would join the Blue Alliance. That's the name of the show, to help make it better. We've reached out to some people, but we're taking the time. We're not in a rush to bring other channels in. We want quality for you. So be rest assured you're going to enjoy it. And this is the first time. And disclaimer, this is not the Blue Morning Show. We don't read every comment. so you can have conversations.
But you know what? I have highlighted a few, Mikhail.
You can have conversations, but every now and then we will look up what your questions, and especially the questions that are aligned with what we're doing, or contributions that are aligned with the current topic. We'll read those. But this is not the Blue Morning Show. Don't expect Kuchila to be breezing through everything you have in the chat, even when you come at me with your.
We'll try our best. Let's put it that way.
Blue Alliance. It isn't really about super chat, but it's somebody saying that in the chat there. My friend Briani Yahayi, aka 343 Dynama and all that. No, it's not all about that. We'll still get your comment, but yeah, if you do a super chat, yeah, we prioritize your contribution in the chat. But Blue Morning Show is different, you know that. But you go ahead.
Absolutely. Coming back to the transfers again, and that's the last part of the discussion before we get to the final predictions. Guys, again, don't forget to hit that like button on both our channels. Of course, consider subscribing. Always linked below or in the description. Here, Dani Olmo, I think just today, it has been confirmed that Dani Olmo is not moving. Although I know that Fabregas, you know what? We should listen to Fabregas. We missed out when Fabregas had suggested us Chouameni. Remember, me and Kochila used to do streams together. We remember those collabs.
I remember Amia too. Amia.
Yes, exactly. Amia was there.
Amia also talked about it because we did a scouting video on Chouameni.
Gravenberch, Vlahovic.
Yeah.
Mikhail was there, right? And these are all names that actually, to be honest, people like Fabregas, Czech, etc. had recommended. So sometimes we need to take our, legends very seriously, and I know we do. But I think Dani Olmo is a bit too late because I think he's moving on. Let's see what is other comments. I'll just start a couple of comments more, guys. Again, in terms of the. Okay, Darwin Núñez to Chelsea link come from? No, I don't think it's real. I don't think it's real. Come on, Liverpool,
probably
especially
to Man City.
No way. It's not happening for sure. But Dani Olmo could have been, but again, now it's a bit too late because it's been announced that he's not moving for sure. Okay, I'll check it out. Oscar Glauc. I'm not very sure about if anyone knows what profile he is, but I'm assuming he's not the Oscar part 2 what we had. So okay, he's an Israeli footballer who basically can play in midfield. I think we were again very, very strongly linked with Zakarian, but because of political issues, we let him go. That was one of the things.
Yeah, we couldn't find a way around sanctions and all that to get him. I love that kid. The Russian kid, right? You could argue he's a mashup.
Zakarian.
Yeah, Arsene Zakarian. Yeah, you could argue he's a mashup of De Bruyne and Cesc Fabregas, given his vision and his ability to orchestrate defense splitting passes. And he wanted to join us. He was saying how he wants to come compete with the likes of Mason Mount and Kai Havertz and all that. Unfortunately, that didn't happen. And because by now he's given up on becoming a Chelsea player, in my opinion. Because had he wanted that, he would have gone to Strasbourg. Because Strasbourg wanted him. That would have been a perfect route to join Chelsea. Yeah. But unfortunately, we'll miss out on that one.
Mikhail, actually, Kochila, did you notice that Mikhail is asking us, does it mean that we have to cover content for Strasbourg as well from now on?
I think we should. Maybe. We should.
Loan watch. It's almost like a loan watch, right? We used to do that. As in the days that you're talking about, we used to do scouting for Chelsea. We used to do loan watch. And again, that's something that we are rebuilding again with the Blue Alliance.
Yeah, we should. The Blue Alliance, we should be covering loan watch, finances, and some other aspects. We'll try the best we can to make it fun, more informative, more educating, and all that. We'll always debunk rumors. We'll take a look at the reports out there, dissect and analyze, come to a sensible conclusion, and educate you on what to do. But at the end, you have every right to believe on what you want to believe in. The Prince is there. The Prince says, why can't we go for Dani Olmo? We're not interested. I think Ankit has covered that. Just what we want right now. And he is a perfect player in that position, also recommended by Fabregas. Unfortunately, Ankit has stated we should be listening to Fabregas. But with him, Did he recommend what is that, Badiashile? Did he?
Bardeshil, no, not too sure if he recommended, but I'm pretty sure he recommended a few youngsters from France. I'm 100% sure. I know he was at Monaco. I think he approved it. It's almost a case of like how Didier Drogba approved David Datro Fofana. I don't think it was a recommendation, but it was an approval, which is itself good as well, which counts for sure, right? And I think we need to definitely take it. But Coachella hasn't answered the question, and everyone in the chat you've answered. But Coachella, who's that one guy that you're signing in the camp position? Who is that you want Chelsea to sign no matter what, as things stand? I know
I'm going to move on. I'm going to move on from Kudus because I see Kudus isn't happening. It's looking he's more likely to join West Ham United than Chelsea. And from the way we've gone about it, the pursuit of Mohammed Kudus, it just seems as if we're not that serious about signing him. So I say right now, wow. It's difficult.
I'm telling you guys, there needs to be more scouting for Chelsea episode. Let's have the more Blue Alliance episodes here because I think in the next 6 days we can bring one more show. Hopefully we'll suggest something to Chelsea because again, I'm telling you guys, Nonto is your guy in my opinion. If you have to really pinpoint one person, he has literally, just what Fofana did to Leicester. He wants to move out of Leeds, right? And I know it's not a great sign,
who
but
exactly?
there is a difference. Yeah, Wilfried Nonto, the Italian international, 19 years old, but already experienced in the Premier League, scored a few goals. He could play second striker. He could play left wing, right wing. Very good on the eye, in my opinion. Something that we need, a spark, an X factor that we were linked with Dybala a few weeks ago. I think he is a right footer though. Him along with Barcola, if we can afford him, I think.
I don't think Barcola comes to us. Have you not seen that Barcola prefers going to PSG?
Correct. So that is why I'm saying that.
And the deal, the Barcola case is a bit more complicated right now because we're hearing that Monaco wants a player plus cash. That compounds the transfer. And I don't see a player plus cash doesn't mean a player on loan, a player on a permanent plus cash. And I don't think we have any player except for Lukaku or maybe Callum Hudson-Odoi. But would they want Callum Hudson-Odoi? I'd say no, in my opinion. But go ahead with what you were saying. Sorry for cutting you off.
No. I hear you, and along the same lines actually. So it comes down to the cash as well. Yes, because as much as we like to defend our club, the reality is there is going to be definitely, I don't know, with Chelsea. I don't know. You've seen this meme. Let me play that, everyone. Chelsea fans, buy everyone, all the Blues. This is what we feel, right?
I'm here to tell you right now, we don't care.
Let me tell you,
we don't care.
But we have to keep in mind that the world is against us. It's clear that FFP will come into picture, and I think we have to be careful. And that is why I put one more name, Johan Bakayoko. Guys, I know it's funny that again I'm linking ourselves to a Bakayoko, but this guy is genuinely good. Even last night in the Champions League qualification against Rangers, he actually created 2 goals.
Yeah,
and I
can
think
you educate us on him? You've talked about it too much. It's like you're shoving it into my mouth. Can you educate us on Bakayoko? I want to know.
So basically speaking, he's a left-footed winger. His market value is 10 million. He's really young.
How old is he?
He's I think 20, but already a Belgian international. He's similar to Nonto's age. So he's 20. The difference is that he's left-footed. Nonto is right-footed. And I think he's a proper right winger, someone who takes on people. You might say that, yes, from PSV, similar to Madueke, but no. Madueke is a tall guy. Madueke has a good build. Here, I think we are talking about a person who has low center of gravity. I think he brings very different things to a Madueke. And I think that can be a plan A, plan B on the wings. And again, he scored enough goals and got enough assists at this age, even be it for, say the young Belgian sides or be it for PSV in the Europa League qualification, in the Champions League qualifications, apart from the Eredivisie. So I think that is something which is doable in terms of the price, because if you're talking about Barcola, he wants to go to PSG. We have to overpay. Rayan Cherki, attitude issues, plus we have to overpay. Then we have what else? A lot of names. Felix is definitely expensive. Kudus, it's imminent. West Ham, even if we like to hijack, probably not happening, is what the realistic picture is. Yeremy Pino, it's just paper talk in my opinion. Johnson, well, quality, I don't see that quality in my opinion, although he is jack of all trades. So I don't think it makes sense. So Nonto and I think Johan Bakayoko, if we can manifest this, Chelsea fans, somehow, trust me, you won't get disappointed.
Yeah, don't you think the club at this point will probably be looking for more experienced players? I get it. You've argued that he's played again. Usually, experience and age are usually used interchangeably. Sometimes it does make sense. It's hard to find somebody who's experienced and not that old. You get my point. He says Cucurella looks more professional than Fabrizio Romano. I love this guy. He's been supporting Chelsea perspective since I think at the time I had around 25 to 30. But he's a nice guy. That's fine. My point is, I think probably we'll be looking for more experienced players. I don't know. I'm not too sure.
That's a great shout. Sorry to cut you, Coachella. This is a great shout.
Pedro Gonzalez.
Yes, so he is the difference. Only difference is dead shot. Then we are assuming that Sterling is a right-sided starter, or maybe Sterling / Madueke, and Pedro is more naturally left-sided. Pedro Gonçalves is similar to the profile of a Christian Pulisic, but not that injury-prone. He's similar to that kind of profile. Maybe Pedro Neto, he's similar to that profile, but he has goals in him, and I think he has scored loads of goals and assists for Sporting, I believe, last season as well. And again, Sporting is in the running for the title in the Portuguese league. So someone who's a winner, who's experienced enough. I think he's not too young either. But right-footed, that's the only thing. Will he get the left-footed angle that we need, which we lack, in my personal opinion, at times.
And if we're being honest, I think it's very difficult to understand what the club they're prioritizing right now, because we're lacking in the wing, right wing area. We don't have numbers there. It's just practically not Madueke. I get it. Raheem can play on the left, on the right, but I think we need one more player. Then we also need a 10. And so we're not too sure what they're prioritizing, and that's why you can say the Twitter journalists and all that, they're just saying we're looking for attacking players. They use the general term attacking players. They're not being specific, probably because they're not too as sure as you can say as short. As sure, or you can say as certain as I'm not really. But let's see. I'm sure they understand the areas where we're like. They understand the problems we have. They know what signings to make to help us solve those problems. I don't know. Do you have more questions? Up to you. You go with it.
No, I think that's about it. Again, if I can just quickly clarify, Barcola and Ziyech, the difference is Barcola is primarily a right footer. Compared to maybe a Bakayoko or other names that we were talking about, maybe a Kudus. So that's the difference. And Barcola is a typical winger. Ziyech is almost like an inside winger is what he likes, because he likes to kind of assist all the time. I think that's the difference between them. But Barcola also could play inside forward. I think you have a point, red shot, because he's played as a false 9. But again, it's not realistic in my opinion. But I think we have covered a lot of questions here. So big up to everyone joining here again. In terms of predictions, what are you saying, Coachella, in the chat tomorrow? What is happening again? Would love to say it's an easy day, and it's never an easy day. More recently in Chelsea, but come on, it's Luton. Yes, we are injury FC, but still, come on, we should beat Luton, shouldn't we?
Before the West Ham game, a lot of people were saying the chat will beat them 8-0, 5-0, 6-0, and I were too confident that I'm concerned. Here's the thing. The only thing I want is for us to go into that game as if it is the final. This is no time to say, okay, we can select a B team. We can give the less experienced players a chance. No, we haven't gotten a win yet in this particular season. We need to go with our best squad. We need to let them know we need a win. Don't underestimate them. And we have a problem now. West Ham, they've set, you can say, the blueprint for all the clubs to follow. Be physical, and then we'll struggle. And that's nothing new. We've been like that for 3 years now. And part of the reasons why we struggled against West Ham was that they were so physical, we weren't able to deal with it at some point. And Luton Town, according to the Beautiful Game during the Blue Morning Show, they're all like 6 foot plus, very tall and physical. So we must be ready for that. And that was why Bobby argued in the morning we may well see the likes of the Sassi get a chance to start again, because he's a huge guy, and we may well see Leslie Lugochukwu coming because he's a huge guy too. We need to find a way to deal with that physicality, otherwise we will still struggle the way we did against West Ham United. So for me, I'm not too sure. I'm not too certain about this team that I'd go to the extent of saying I think we're going to win this game by a certain number of goals or this. I'm just going to say I'm not sure. I just leave it. I'm not sure what happens. If we win tomorrow, I'll take it. But on paper, this is a game that we should be winning. But football, you cannot script this game. Even if you look at statistics, I think we played them 3 times and we've beaten them 3 times. But you can say at least twice, but we're beating them on 2 occasions They haven't beaten us one. But
But
that's
it
when,
was significant, Coachella. Those two
yeah.
were very significant because yes, it was a cup game, but I think first was the last game of Lampard, if I remember right, where Tammy scored a hat trick. Correct me if I'm wrong, Chad. And the second recent was even more significant because that was the night when we got to know about the sanctions. And Timo
Mhm.
Werner scored, I think, one of the goals. And Loftus-Cheek played centre back. I think a crazy 3-2 night. Lukaku scored, ironically. Just saying. But I think Coachella, I think I'll go with that as well. I think we have to get that. I know Gaurav is saying Barkley coming off the bench and scoring that goal. Come on, as in it cannot go worse. The pressure will be on. Not that it's all on already. I'm going with the 2-1. I feel that considering Luton haven't played for about a week and a half, they
And
will
they
be more up
concede
for the
quite a
game.
lot. They concede a lot.
Correct, and we will be scoring 2 goals this time, hopefully,
Yeah.
right? As in we
And
should.
just quickly, let me just say something here. Yeah, the void. Always nice to see you, brother. I appreciate you. Welcome to the Blue Alliance. Believe me, it's something different, something special, something delicious, something you haven't seen in the community. And we will add 4 more channels, but we'll take our time. We want to do a good scouting work. We don't just want to sign a player that will sign out, you can say content creator that will end up becoming deadwood. We want commitment. We want a content creator that will stay fit, knowledgeable, that will help us educate you, entertain you, bring you the news in a more constructive and objective manner that you will always come back for more. I promise you that. Go ahead, bro. Whenever you're ready, we can round off. Up to you.
Yeah, I think that is about it. I know that again, let's give a quick shout out to people again, everyone watching. Great to see you guys even here. I know that people watching from India as well as other parts of the world, it might be late in the night, but great to always see you here. Again, I think Srinath is asking about whether it will continue. Absolutely. It's just the first of many. And the idea is about people like you and everyone here contributing just, your views. Because at the end of the day, we believe that, whether we love football end to end, and we do, but the reality is that when it comes to the Blues, and we know, as in at least Coachella and me, and of course a lot of you in the chat know that we kind of breathe that, and we need to see more people like that. Hopefully, with all your backing, we get to know that, and we continue this for sure. Again, we are always open to feedback. You can contact Coachella as well, Chelsea Perspective. You know the channel. People hit him up anytime. Again, Almighty Blues, you can hit me up anytime, be it on social media, be it on the channels. But the Blue Alliance is for everyone. It's for everyone. It's for you people. So great to actually have this discussion, Coachella. We have been planning this for a year. Shout out to everyone in the chat. Of course, thanks for all the super chat, the mod members. But Coachella, your closing thoughts.
Nothing to say. It's exciting. I enjoyed myself, and it's set at a time where even if I have to go pick up my son from school, I'd still have time to be part of the show. It's enjoyable. The chemistry between you and I is something special. We're brothers. Beyond that,
we're
as
actually
content
brothers. We
creators,
actually feel that we're
yeah,
literally that. It's just that we are geographically not there. You're
yeah,
right.
we have such a great chemistry, and I think this can only get better. And for those of you who doesn't know, it's called the Blue Alliance, and the number we have in mind is 6 content creators, and we'll have to bring in 4 more people, but we'll take a time. We're not rushing. We'll pick the best content creators. It doesn't have to be the biggest name, but the knowledgeable and the content creators that will commit to the cause and help us do well. Other than that, I don't have anything else to say, brother. It's been excellent, and I enjoyed myself, and I can't wait till next Thursday for the next episode of the Blue Alliance show.
Absolutely. Same here. And again, up the Chels, no matter what. And we will be there for sure for the watch alongs. So join us on our respective channels. And of course, hopefully, we come back with a smile on the face with a victory. See you guys. Good night for now. And for people who are still in the day, good day. See you soon. Always for everyone to see. Bye.
Much love.